Phillipsburg Town Council Meeting, July 18th, 2023. This is a presentation by Peron, the company that wants to build a warehouse in downtown Phillipsburg along the Delaware River. This is now the fourth warehouse plan that Peron has come up with. Peron has presented a plan for a 510,000 square foot warehouse that would have had the town of Phillipsburg sell it the open space Delaware River Park that was purchased with Green Acres funding. Towards the end of 2021, Peron presented a plan for a 420,000 square foot warehouse that had authorization for up to 92,000 trucks per year. In August of 2022, Peron then presented a plan in which they said they would have a deal for a cold storage company to occupy a 60-foot high, 360,000 square foot cold storage warehouse. This plan never materialized. Now, in July 2023, Peron is presenting yet another attempt at a warehouse. Now Peron is presenting a 327,000 square foot warehouse. Like the previously proposed 360,000 square foot warehouse, this warehouse may also have a rail connection. Here is Peron's presentation.
Okay, now we have a presentation. Who's going to present tonight for the Howard Street?
Thank you, Council. I'm Seth Tipton, Lawyer Carucci, here on behalf of the applicant, Peron Construction LLC, with respect to the project at Block 2102, Lot 1 and 2. We're here tonight to give an update to the Council as the redevelopment agency for the township prior to a site plan application which we intend to file in the next couple months. Just by way of brief background, August of 2022, the redeveloper here approached the township with a contract purchaser that is supposed to do a cold storage facility at the location and sought the township's consent to amend the redevelopment plan to specifically require or permit two things. One was an increased height for the building to 65 feet, and the second was a requirement that the building actually have connection to the adjacent railroad, or interconnection to the adjacent railroad. The township did take up by ordinance that amendment, which was ultimately completed in November of last year. Unfortunately, that was just a little too long for the contract purchaser that we had in mind at that time, so they've since moved on. But nevertheless, because of the requirement, the applicant spent the last 12 months redesigning the project to specifically incorporate the ability to have the interconnection with the adjacent railroad. And at this time, we anticipate doing the site plan application with a slightly smaller building with the interconnection to the railroad. And I brought Brad Bowler from Bowler Engineering to kind of go over, for the benefit of the council, the general nature of the changes to the project and to answer any questions that you have about it at this point with a site plan application likely to be filed in the next couple months. So before I turn it over to Brad, any questions from me?
Yeah, so we're talking smaller building and the guarantee of connection to the rail still.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, there was quite a bit of effort. It was not as simple as it was. Brad can speak to this in more detail. But this will have a rail connection, and it is a slightly smaller building than was initially proposed.
Okay, appreciate that.
One question. Is there an intended use for a building?
There's no contract purchaser or user identified at the moment. The developer is doing this on speculative basis.
Is this smaller than the last application? Because the last application for the cold storage was smaller than the original application. Is this now even smaller?
Yes, and I'll let Brad actually speak to these square footages specifically, but this is the second time the project has become small. The overall square footage is. Answer that question specifically.
Hello, Brad Bowler, civil engineer for the last application. So I have two renderings up here. The one on the ground is the old site plan that was presented to the board and the council a couple years ago. Up top is the new footprint, so, and a new concept plan. The tan color is the building, and then there's the pavement areas are in gray. And then what we've done was, as part of our new application, our new concept plan, is spent a lot of time really negotiating with the rail company and making sure that we could have a proper rail side access to our building. And that was really driving the geometry of the site. So we spent a lot of time doing that, working with the rail company. It took about 6 months to get through an actual geometry discussion and a full design. Once we got that nailed down with the rail company, we were able to move forward with the rest of the layout of the site, which is what you see here. So the first approval we had was a 420,000 square foot rail, warehouse, no rail. That was what we had approved at the planning board. The cold storage facility was about 360 to 340,000 square feet, which is what we were talking about last time. Now we're at 328,000 square feet. And what drove that down from the previous cold storage and from the previous application was the geometry and where the rail sits. So the only way that the rail company would really service us is having the rail on the bottom side of this plan. So the rail would come up and then rail side on the bottom side of the plan. So the building's also rotated 180 degrees so that the docks face to the north or towards Howard Street. So after we go through that geometry and the configuration of the grading and the lot, it brings us to a 328,000 square foot building. It's about a 20% reduction from the previous 420,000 square foot building. With regards to the layout, because of the grade change, there's a smaller parking configuration. So we have 326 total parking spaces available if you use an auxiliary lot, or 219 spaces going into this application. And that is generally in line with what we have from an industry perspective. With rail, usually parking for cars is a little bit less than that, but we do propose an industry standard. And essentially, we have a reduction in impervious coverage as well from the previous approval. We had 64% proposed last time, or the requirement 65%, and now we're at 52% approximately. So a reduction in impervious coverage as well from this new layout. That's really the genesis. I do have architectural plans if you want to see them. Right now we have a rail side of the warehouse that's about the same elevation as what was previously approved, so about 49 feet high. And again, rail on the bottom side with warehouse truck doors on the top side of this concept plan.
Any question?
Not a question, but you did answer two of my questions regarding the impervious coverage surface and the parking. So it sounds like both are being reduced in this new version.
Yes.
Okay, those were actually two of my questions. And you wouldn't be able to answer anything regarding trucks until you actually have like a buyer of this.
In general, I can probably try to answer a general truck question if you have it. And if I don't know it, I'll let you know, but I can.
Is there a certain capacity limitation already assigned to what the pavement of this construction can handle? Or an idea of how many trucks can be parked or travel through this?
So from a design perspective, the pavement area and the roadway system can handle this type of facility. From a truck perspective, traffic-wise, the number of vehicles, if you didn't have the rail side, you have already with the square footage, you have less trucks on the road.
Okay.
With the rail addition, generally, it's not always the same in this case, but generally, you'll see a reduction even further in rail or truck traffic because the rail serves as a part of that option where you bring in goods from a rail side, and then that reduces the trucks to the road. So most of the time, high percentage of the time, you're gonna have less trucks with the rail side of this as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With the original cold storage, you need a variance to go to 65 feet. Do you need that with this new proposal? As far as height?
If it's not cold storage, it wouldn't be that high. The height request for cold storage is because of the condensers and other equipment on top. So a normal warehousing facility wouldn't be at 65 foot high. It would typically be at 49, which is what I have proposed here.
But it still could be cold storage.
It's still going to be cold storage here. Right now, our goal is to file for a warehouse application, though, so we don't have a cold storage user in mind.
Anyone else?